What's up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take NBA DFS podcast. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I am joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, the true OG, the truest of true OGs, except for Patio Joe, aka Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening, bro?
What's up, man? Chilling. Just got dizzy looking over tomorrow's slate. Just a quick sneak peek. And, man, this trade deadline was intense. I don't remember it being like this last year. I'm pretty sure they've been saying that, too. Like, the most active trade deadline in NBA history or something along those lines. But,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it's been wild, man. All these... And there's so many teams that are, deep, but not deep in a good way. Deep as in not many of their players are better than their other players, right? Situation in Miami, for instance, they were deep. They're not deep as in, oh, this team is loaded and they're going to be phenomenal. It was they're 3, 4, 5 guys. After all the injuries, they were all kind of the same. Magruder and Ellington and all these dudes, they were all kind of the same. Nobody was better than the other. And that was a problem. And there's a lot of teams that had that issue, and a lot of them did something about it. And they found ways to just dump certain people. There's a pairing out there. What is it, Baldwin and Stauskas? They've been traded 3 or 4 times together. They're they got to be bonded for life at this point.
Somebody said, do they get to keep the freaking flyer miles?
That's insane, man. And, we're seeing it. We're seeing it drop.
What team do you think did the best in the deadline, or which couple teams?
Man, I would have to evaluate each trade pretty heavily. I only see the DFS part, this guy for this guy, and you don't realize that it's also for a protected pick, or they saved X amount of salary for the offseason. So it's hard to say, but based off of now, based off of this year, I would say
I would simplify it. Out of Milwaukee, Toronto, and Philly, who all made significant moves. Which do you think did the best?
I'm going to sound like a fish, but I like the Tobias call. I just look at that team, and I'm like, okay, this team is actually loaded. And, we're a little, we're what do you call it? Biased, because we play DFS. So we're thinking of everything in fantasy terms. In real basketball, my concern is it doesn't matter how many guys you have. For instance, Covington and Saric and all these dudes that, if they had a chance to be the guy and take 30-something shots, they'd probably put up, monster numbers too on a lot of nights. So it's kind of hard to see. We saw Butler go there, and there were some problems. Now you're bringing another guy who deserves to have the ball in his hand, but he's 4th now on this team. There's on paper it looks good, and then you look at Milwaukee, and it kind of feels to me like they basically upgraded Brolo. And they're pretty good upgrade, don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? But, I don't see, how do they not use Mirotic to spread the court? He's just going to be another guy to spread the court so that Giannis or the point guard could dry low, find one of them open, right? That's just what it seems. And then Toronto was very interesting because they've been getting destroyed by bigs. And bringing in Gasol is going to help that. They don't have a true big. Joe Val's been hurt for I don't know how long. They were bad against bigs even with Joe Val. And when the fact that they couldn't play Joe Val more than XYZ minutes, you kind of saw. So it's tough, man. It depends on how I look at it. I want to say the Sixers, but I'm kind of a little biased. I'm thinking more in terms of oh, that's fantasy. It's going to be great. What do you think?
I think Milwaukee did. I don't think Mirotic is going to replace Brolo, but I think he's going to be the second unit and give that second unit more depth and be the exact same role, floor stretcher. And I just think they have the best overall team, and they improved. They also got Stanley Johnson, who's a good defender, and 3-and-D kind of guy that can play on that second unit as well. I think that they are the most balanced and talented.
Yeah.
Philly, I love the pickup too of Tobias. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to make them better. I think Ben Simmons is not going to do a ton of shooting anymore. He's going to be assist rebound guy, and those other guys are going to do the shooting. But I don't know if I believe in the rest of their team, like they just have four guys, and then it like really falls off, and
Right.
that makes me the most concerned. And then Toronto, I just feel like they're about where they were. I thought Joe Val was good. Maybe Gasol's a little better, but I'm unchanged. Like right now, I'd say Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Philly is how I think it'll end.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Hard to argue against that. You know how I feel. Big D's the best player in the East. You know how I feel. No, Big D all day. But
All day.
yeah, man, it's like I do agree with you with Philly. I'd be very surprised if they didn't like pull a couple of those guys off the court, like have Simmons and Embiid kind of play together mostly. You know, like pull Butler and Tobias both at the 5-minute mark, let the other guys finish the quarter together, and then bring them off, bring on like Butler and Tobias, or I'd be very surprised if they didn't. But one thing I don't think they helped enough, and I guess Butler was supposed to really help with that, but like defensively, there's still some concerns. Like you had mentioned Milwaukee, they're balanced, and that's part of it. They play defense, so yeah. I'll tell you what, the East, in my opinion, used to be a joke, and now it's far more competitive, in my opinion, than the West. Just literally in 1 year, just bam. And I think that part of that you get a little spoiled, like last year, right? Like LeBron James with the team he had to get as far as he did. I think that tells you about the East last year. You know what I'm saying?
J.R. Smith. That was it.
Oh man. But
you know what? Philly did pick up Jonathan Simmons though. They got rid of.
They did.
They cut forward on what's his name?
Markelle Fultz. Yeah, Markelle Fultz.
Got Jonathan Simmons for him. That's a defensive guy. Yeah. That must have been what the thought process was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's a guy that can show some offense. He's not like a go-to guy, but on the second unit, he could be another one. Either start him on the first unit for defense, or keep him on the second, and let him be a nice little role player for whoever the second unit guys are. But it's gonna be fun to watch the East, like, which is good for us guys that are from the East. Like, it's always been kind of like the East has been low. You make the playoffs in the East, and it's like it's the East, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you made it by default. There were no other teams. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, and, I think right now 3 or at least 2 teams that are would be in the playoffs in the East right now are under 500. Like,
yeah.
That pretty much says it all.
Yeah, that pretty much says it all. Absolutely. All right, man. Let's go on to this Friday slate. So we got 8 games. We're still waiting on some of the news as far as who, like, of the trades, who's actually going to be ready to play. One guy we know for sure, or not for sure, but one guy who's probable is Harrison Barnes, who was traded over to the Sacramento Kings. He's already listed as probable. The other guys we haven't really seen news on. There's Otto Porter's in Chicago now. Jabari Parker is where's Jabari Parker now? He's Washington, I think. He's in Washington now. Yeah. What else do we got here? We don't know if Burks is going to be playing or not for Sacramento. All we've heard is that Barnes is going to be doing it. There's a lot. There's a lot, and that's what makes this slate so exciting. Anthony Davis. How could we forget about? My bad. How could I forget about Anthony Davis? Like, he's expected to play, and we have no idea in what capacity. I have no idea why he's playing at this point. So I guess before we even discuss this slate, let's talk about Anthony Davis. like what should we? I know we have no way of knowing, but what are your thoughts? What do you think New Orleans is going to do with him? They're just going to play him for real and just let him go out there and do the dirty, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to play him a ton. Well, I mean, they have something to lose too. If he gets hurt, they could lose like a potential great package, and him lose his value. But I just think they're going to use him the way they were. You know what I mean? And just finish out the season and trade him in the off season.
Yeah. No. I mean, at this point, what else? I don't know. It's just so. I mean, listen, you're paying the guy money, so you're not going to just pay him for nothing. A guy of his caliber, right? Like. So I understand it from that approach, but it's got to be awkward as hell. Like, you know what I mean, with some of these dudes, and like, think about a guy like Jahlil Okafor, and like, we'll discuss him when we get to the right positions. But think about a guy like Jahlil Okafor, who's like, just like couldn't make it anywhere. He's like he was drafted, like high hopes, all this stuff, and just kept trying to get a second chance and kept trying to get a second chance. A guy named Nerlens Noel came, bumped his ass. Fucking what was it? Joel Embiid came and stumped them all. Like, it was just. And now, because AD's gone, he's getting an opportunity. And, like, he's playing, like, I'm trying to get paid, man. Like let me show you that I'm good and maybe make this team for real next year or something like that. You know what I mean? And, like, so how do you, I don't know. If I'm Okafor, I'm just like, you motherfucker. Like, you don't even want to be here. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was just fine without you.
Yep.
And then, you know, Drew Holiday had mentioned, like, I think his reaction when he heard that AD wanted the trade or whatever was that he was like, the reason I signed here is because you were here, like, supposedly. So that's kind of a smack in the face. It's like, not that he has an obligation to him, but what Anthony Davis is doing, it's a business decision. I understand it, but essentially what he said is that y'all ain't good enough. And then on top of that, when they hear that that the Knicks are like are one of the teams on his list, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't say it's about winning at this point. You know, he's looking for a big market. He's just looking for a big market. You know,
dude, he got caught up in the wrong crowd. Started hanging with LeBron. LeBron's like, yo, how can
evil LeBron.
We're gonna just, you know, you're gonna become a spoiled star. And like, he was doing the right thing a year ago. It was him and Boogie, this like stud situation, and Boogie got hurt. But like, he was in New Orleans. They were building a team. They made a run in the playoffs, and like, all of a sudden he's like, you know, this big shot, calling his shots. It's all like bad influence, you know what I mean? Just
it's gonna be wild to see what happens. It's like New Orleans, man. It's like, if the entire DFS industry knows that Anthony Davis is like made of glass, you know what I'm saying? Like, New Orleans gotta know. Like, they gotta know all the medical bills, something that they're paying for this motherfucker every day. They gotta be looking like, oh shit. Like, crazy,
and
man.
they're only 6 games out of the playoffs. Like, you know, they're good, you know, when healthy. They have a decent roster.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's dive in. Paul, you look at DraftKings. I will look at FanDuel. I'll go down to 6K. You go down to 5K. First look, what you see at point guard.
So just so many if-then statements, you know, like Ben Simmons is the first guy I think we're looking at. Like, I think right off the bat, I'm just kind of like crossing off Golden State Phoenix if Devin Booker's not playing. Do we know his status at least? It looks like
Booker is questionable, hamstring.
Yeah. I mean, even if he's there, they should smoke him, but if he's not, they're just going to steamroll them there. So I'm like just probably avoiding the Golden State studs at this point. Maybe that changes, but there's just so much talent on this slate. It's going to be so hard to get on those guys. But Ben Simmons at 8-4 on DraftKings against Denver, it's like a really nice matchup. If they're shorthanded, don't have a ton of guys because they, you know, lost a whole bunch, I'd be into him. If they're fully healthy, like the full roster with the bias, I'd be a little less interested. We got Eric Bledsoe. We already know Middleton's out, so whenever one of those 3 is out, you play the others. Got Jamal Murray at 6'3" against Philly, getting paced way up. He played really well his first game back. You got Satoransky, who could be on a shorthanded Washington team, point guards against Cleveland. He's 5'7". He's got triple-double upside. There is a lot to like. You got... I'll cut it there. I mean, there's actually one more. Jordan Clarkson. I think he's shooting guard on FanDuel, but he's 5'2". One more Burks. There's not many guys left on that team to take shots. I think he has a very good chance of being their high scorer tomorrow, so I'm interested in him as well.
Yeah, point guard, there's definitely a lot of interesting ways to go. Eric Bledsoe, as you know, you got Ben Simmons and Steph Curry at top on FanDuel, but, I mean, like, aside from that, Eric Bledsoe was the first standout guy. 7'8", you had mentioned Middleton's going to be out. We know this already. And Bledsoe has just been, like... He's been playing out of his fucking mind. I mean, 50 and 44 his last 2 games in 26 minutes each. So he's not even playing. Like, he was doing it. It's like he's trying to do some tricks. Like, he was doing it on 30 minutes, going for 40. And you're like, oh, 30 minutes? Oh. And he was like, watch this. I'm going to slim that shit down to 26. And then he went in there and, like, went to 26 and still smashed. Like, he's been on a roll. It's like he missed 1 game the first time they played Washington. That's the only time. that this man has scored under 40 over the last 5 games Milwaukee's played. So yeah, man, it's gonna be tough to not want to play him. Chris Dunn could be. He's already a pretty good play, I think, now. And Zach LaVine is apparently a game time decision. He didn't practice on Thursday. So that could make Chris Dunn at 7-1 over here a phenomenal option. Satoransky.
That's turning the ball over a ton right now as well, and playing super fast.
Yes.
I do like that a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Satoransky's probably a little bit too expensive here. How much is he on DraftKings, did you say? I know you said it was
5-7.
5-7, yeah. That's probably where I would want to get my exposure. But that game is very interesting to me, being how bad Washington's been, and Cleveland's actually been trying. Like, they're getting excited about winning. Like, when they win, like, guys are like, yeah, 2 in a row. Like, they're actually like, I don't know. I guess they got some kind of positive thing going on there. I'm not trying to hate, but yeah, DSJ is 6-6 over here. He's another one that I think is fairly viable. I mean, so far, just staying above, there's like a few guys that certainly stand out among the rest. And I think on FanDuel, those guys are Bledsoe, Chris Dunn, especially if LaVine is out. And then I would say DSJ in that range, which means maybe the top guys go a little under-owned. But take us down to Value Town. What you see down
there? So Colin Sexton, last of the Mohicans. It's him, Clarkson, and Nance that are like, viable guys on the team that can score and that can go get like 40 or more DFS points. And his minutes are crazy secure. I'm going to assume everyone's minutes are going to be crazy secure at this point, but his are like the most secure of the whole team. What is TJ McConnell over there?
4-2.
4-2. He must be very cheap on DraftKings. 3-7 on DraftKings.
Sam.
Yeah. And they got rid of Shamet. They don't have Corey Brewer. Like, maybe Jimmy Butler will play some point on the second unit, but like he's like the only true point guard they have. So I think his minutes are going to be extremely secure, and he's just probably too cheap at this point. And the industry hasn't really, figured that out based on the changes. So I do have interest in McConnell. There's this huge mess at Minnesota point guard. Like, literally, there's 4 guys that are questionable. If, Tyus Jones were to be the only one playing at 3,800, sure. Cannonball, I think, is even cheaper. If he played today when Jared Bayless got hurt, and Cannonball is min price. So that situation is something to keep an eye on. You could have some really nice value there. I'm going to cut it there. I mean, there's a few other things we could talk about, but those are the most attractive.
Yeah, you mentioned a situation in Minnesota, and their prices are all like relatively low depending on who's the one that gets to play. But Jeff Teague's only 5-7 against New Orleans. Derrick Rose is only 5-4 against New Orleans. Bayless is only 5-3. So it's just going to be a matter. It's going to be like a domino effect. It's going to be, is Teague playing? No. Okay. Is Rose playing? No. Okay. Is Bayless playing? No. And then if all those are no, you may just be left with a Cannonball, who is min price on FanDuel. Imagine if he's the only point guard on the roster. So we know that Teague and Rose have been out for a while. They may come back. And then tonight, Jared Bayless got hurt his toe. So it's a back-to-back. So we'll have to see what happens. But one of those Minnesota guys against New Orleans is going to be a pretty good option value-wise on FanDuel. They're all in the 5s or lower.
Yeah.
Tyler Johnson.
There's a guy I want to ask you about. Yep, that's him.
That's him? Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Tyler Johnson, starting for the Suns against the Golden State Warriors. I think the question is, are they going to TJ Warren his ass and just be like, let's just see what you got, kid. Throw you out there for 38 minutes? Because if that's going to be the case, and like he's going to get, like, if they really want to evaluate him, because I would assume that's kind of what they're trying to do, right? Is trying to evaluate some of these guys and see, like, we need a point guard desperately. I think Melton out, and I think Melton is out, right?
Yeah, he's ruled out.
He's been out. So at 4.7, I mean that is definitely a viable option. I think but you're kind of, unless we hear something, it's always going to be a guess. Like we don't know. Maybe he, like when DSJ first went to the Knicks, he didn't have a practice, so because of that, he only played 24 minutes. The next game, he played 40 minutes after he had a couple practices. So, yeah, that's going to be a situation. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
So if Booker's out, then I think it's actually pretty interesting. Like I think he's just going to play a ton of minutes regardless of the game flow, and he's actually good, and he can score, create a shot, and facilitate a little bit with that group. Like, yeah, I think he's definitely in play at 4-3, right? Like,
wait, he's 4-3 over there?
I believe so.
Damn.
What's he on FanDuel?
He's 4.
Yeah, he's 4-3 on DraftKings.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's 4-C. 4-C. See. One day, Cash. One day. I'm gonna learn how to say that shit, man. I'm gonna shock him. I'm just gonna say that shit. I'm gonna say it so good, he's gonna be like, "Did I just say Sam?" Be like, "Ah, no, you did not, mother."
Nobody can do it.
Nobody can do it. All right, shooting guards. What you see over there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of carryovers, but if you like that Minnesota game, Drew Holiday, phenomenal spot for him with his buddy back. Might be a little too overpriced though, and as deep as this slate is, I think that's only in game stacks. Man, D'Angelo Russell against the Bulls, definitely have interest there. Zach LaVine, if he plays against Brooklyn, is a phenomenal spot, especially if they are, don't have Otto Porter. Malcolm Brogdon at 5'6" against Dallas is a fine option. And that is all down to 5K. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, there's names, so it's deep from a names perspective, but not deep as far as guys that I think I'm interested in, at least not now. I think if I'm going to pay all the way up on FanDuel, I think I'm looking at Luka. He's 10K over here, but the next guy, it's 9.4 for Brad Beal. It is 9.4 for Drew Holiday, and that's just really expensive for those kind of players, especially like while I do think Drew's going to benefit in some ways with the return of Anthony Davis, I also think he's going to, there's going to be a couple less shots for him to take, depending on what role Anthony Davis plays.
And Drew, does he go back to point and they move Jackson back? Because we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. D'Angelo Russell would be the next one. He's 8'8", so we see he's $1,200 cheaper. I think that I'm kind of scared in this circumstance. He went for 50 recently against these guys, and he just did well for me the other day. I forgot who against it was. I think it was Denver. And now his price is up a little bit. He's 8'8" over here, and he's in a smash spot. And I could just totally see him not hustling for a rebound, and then getting getting pulled in that first quarter. And so I'm a little worried about him, but he would be the next one that I would like. After that, I think the next guy, I'm not terribly interested in Jimmy Butler. Embiid's the one true Philly guy that I will consistently always, I don't care, Embiid's going to make sure he eats. And it's because he's bigger than everybody else on the court. So he's going to make sure he gets those rebounds. He's going to get you know what I mean? He's going to get an opportunity to shoot. So Klay Thompson would probably be the next one. And that's more of whenever Golden State blows somebody out, Klay's one of the guys that does it, right? They're all doing so well. Eventually they all just say fuck it. And they just kick it to Klay. Let him shoot the ball as many times as he wants, and then we get to see him dance around with the the third string Warriors in a blowout. So I would say Klay, and I think that would be one other guy, but this is probably more of a DraftKings thing. Dwayne Wade is 6'3" over here. I don't like that price, but I do like Dwayne Wade in general on DraftKings, where he's.
Oh yeah,
regular
we'll
price.
talk about him.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
But, one quick note on D'Angelo Russell is Alan Crabb is back. He played 13 minutes this game. That's going to increase. That's another guy that can take shots away.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good point. I guess the guy that I should mention, just for the sake of argument, would be Andrew Wiggins. He's 6K again on FanDuel. He was 40% on FanDuel today. A lot of that was circumstantial, and he smashed. And now he's playing New Orleans. So this is actually a pretty good spot for him on paper. What is his price over there, Paulie?
Who's that?
Andrew Wiggins? I'm just curious.
6, I believe.
He's 6 over there also?
Yeah.
Yeah. My instinct is to say no, but that instinct did not work out today. So
yep.
I'm gonna want to make sure I dig into that tomorrow.
How many people are available?
Yeah, that's a good point. If Teague and Rose and all them dudes come back, that's a good point. That is a good point. With that said, take us out of Value Town.
Yeah, so you mentioned Dwayne Wade. He's 5K, and I like this game a ton, especially from the Miami side. They cleared some fat away. We should be getting a little tighter rotations out of them, and Dwayne Wade's definitely one of the safer guys for minutes and playing time in close games. And his teammate is 1,100 cheaper. Dion Waiters at 3.9. He's small forward eligible as well, and with them getting rid of Johnson and Ellington, his role should be very, very secure. Don't know if we need to go to Dion Waiters on this slate just yet, but he's out there. Detroit's going to be interesting. They got rid of Bullock. They got rid of what's his name? Hook a brother up. I can't think of the guy. The small forward from Detroit.
Stanley Johnson.
Stanley Johnson, yeah. So both those guys are gone. So I think that clears the way for Luke Kennard to potentially start. He's 3,500. He likes to take a lot of shots. It's the Knicks. That could be blowout run. Think he's kind of interesting. Tim Hardaway Jr. shot poorly in his first game, but got about 26 minutes. That could increase. They're playing Milwaukee, a team that invites threes. He's 4,900 again. I think I could go back there. There are options down here. With AD back, I think the Kenrich Williams show is over. I don't think I'd go there. Another body on Cleveland that may get a big increase is David Nwaba. He's 3,700. With no Burks, he's like the next shooting guard. He had already been playing about 20 minutes with good usage the last few games. That could go up into the 30s at 3.7. I think he's interesting, and that's where I'm going to cut it off.
Yeah. So Jordan Clarkson, definitely an option. Burks is gone. Hood's gone. You're going to need somebody that can score. I do like Clarkson. After that, it gets a little murky. Looking at Alec Burks, we don't even know what his role is going to be on Sacramento. We don't even know if he's going to play. Luke Kennard's 4.8 over here, so he's a little bit more expensive. I do agree with you that I think he's in for a bigger role, more solidified role, and I think he would still also get some of that blowout run as well. And they, from what I understand, they're pretty high on him. I heard there were a couple other teams that reached out to him for trades, and they didn't want to let him go. So I guess they like his shot. He can shoot, and they're also I guess you need somebody that can score when you got guys like Andre Drummond getting a damn free throw. You know what I mean? Yeah. I agree with you on David Nwaba. I think he could step into an increased role. He played a little bit more minutes. Dion Waiters, also with Ellington gone, I think at 4.3 is a viable option on FanDuel, depending on some of the news we may get tomorrow. After that, I don't see a ton of true punts. I guess Trevion Graham, but I am a little worried that with Crabbe back, as his role grows, I think Graham is going to be one of the guys who ends up suffering the most from that. Wayne Selden is only 3.6. He could be you play him and kind of expect your drop score. He's playing minutes. He's just been playing terribly. Back-to-back sixes in 2 straight games. But he's 3.6. He did go for 36 against Miami. They are playing Brooklyn. So I think he's a viable punt option. Just be expecting your 0 to come from him, and if he doesn't, pleasant surprise for you. Small forwards, Paulie. What you got?
All right. So we've got Giannis up top, probable, with no Middleton. It's going to come down to whether you think this game can stay close. And look ahead into the future, see if he does have a game the next day that, maybe they would rest him if the game got out of hand a little earlier for. But
that sounded dope. You're look into the future.
Fortune teller, baby.
I'm going to look into the future right quick. I'll get right back to you.
Nurkovic. Dog. Nurkic is smashing, by the way.
Nurkic is just a beast.
Yeah. Tobias Harris is 6,800. You know, that whole situation is tough. Him or Jimmy Butler, which one? I don't know. But Tobias Harris does like to take shots. I don't know. I don't think that's necessary on this slate, actually, now that I think about it. Josh Jackson, if Devin Booker's out, he went for 50 plus. This is Golden State. Great pace. Should play no matter what the game flow. Hard not to like him. If Washington is short, they don't get the new additions. Trevor Ariza at 5'7" would seem to be a pretty decent option. And Kevin Knox at 5,100 against Detroit. I don't mind. Yes, please. He's got one of the most secure minutes with the Knicks, I would say. And, they kind of just got rid of their two decent defenders that they had at that position. So he might have a mismatch at this point.
Yeah. No, I can get behind that. Above 6K, it's clearly Giannis. He's on FanDuel. That's the guy you want to try to get in. He's 12K, but with Middleton out, going up against Dallas, especially like Luka's 10K and Giannis is 12. So they're trying to make it difficult for you to play those two guys, and for a good reason. I think that if this game does stay close, and I think it's possible to stay close because Doncic is that good, and I think that while I don't think losing DeAndre Jordan necessarily helped their current situation, I do think gaining Tim Hardaway is like an upgrade over some of the other players that they have. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this game stayed somewhat close, especially with Middleton out. I expect Milwaukee to win and win pretty, like I said, if they win by like 10, most likely you got all the rotations in, So, yeah, I think finding a way to get Giannis in is going to be very attractive. Kelly Oubre is 6'7" over here, man. 6'7" for Kelly Oubre. He's been playing well, but I don't know if he's playing that well. Wow. You know what I mean? 6'7". But if Booker's out and they don't have a choice because they're just depleted, then do we have to take a look? I don't know. Scary. I think I'd much rather play Ariza either way at 6'2". I don't know. Just rebounds and all that shit. Just fall into it. Dropping 40s.
Yeah, and now there's, Tyler Johnson there that could take away from a guy like Oubre.
Tyler Johnson in the house. Bad news. Take us out of Paytown.
All right. Dorian Finney-Smith, a good defender, depending who's around for Dallas at 3,900. Got very good minutes with the new team and could be needed for his defense and could have a handful of peripherals. He's an option. Whoa. This is where it gets weak, I'd say. You look a little deeper, though, Get the magnifying glass out. Let's see. Alan Crabb is 3,900. He only played 13 minutes the first game. If I know that he can play like upwards of 30, I could give him a shot at 3,900 versus the Bulls. If Millsap continues to be out, Trey Lyles is 3,800. There are actually a lot of very cheap options that are viable. I'll cut it there, but there's some value here.
Some value in Value Town. Let's see. I think Will Barton on FanDuel is kind of interesting. I know he's been playing like shit. I know he only played 19 minutes against Brooklyn. Don't really know why that is,
What's the price?
He's 5'2". Will Barton on FanDuel. Like, we know this man can go for 40. We haven't seen it since he came back from his injury. He's been playing a little more tentatively. Now Jamal Murray's back, so that kind of dampers things, and it's possible that Millsap returns, and that would make things even more rough. But we know how much upside that dude has. I think one of the problems, though, is that, like, we used to get him playing point guard all the time, and, like, when Murray's back, it's like they like that Monte Morris kid, and they like him playing point guard. So I think that Barton just becomes a true wing at that point. But 5-2 is low, man. If he gets hot, he can do the dirty. Kevin Knox, you mentioned him. The minutes, one of the more secure Nick minutes. He played 34 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes his last 3 games. I think that's going to give you some sort of floor. JJ Redick's only 4.9. Very curious to see what happens to him in all of this. I would imagine that a lot of his shot attempts go away, but 4.9 is cheap enough to a point where I think he can still get you a decent return, especially if he's playing efficiently. Mikal Bridges is only 4.7 over here. I'm with you. There are a lot of interesting options, I think. I'll cut it off there, but yeah, there's like, I don't necessarily like one of these guys over the other right away, but I can see that I have options. So, see where we end up. Move us over to power forwards.
All right. So at the top here, we got AD 11-2. I mean, there's so much value. You can definitely go get him. And it's interesting. This is a deep slate. Like, I don't think his ownership would be high anyway. And people may just be like, he's rusty. Like, we don't know. Like, he could be really low owned, and he probably has the highest ceiling on the whole slate. So that's like, it's something I'm just going to pay attention to. Like, if we think we can get him under 10% against Minnesota that's shorthanded and not good and has no one that can really guard him, it'd be kind of interesting to take a stab at him, especially if you're building multiple teams. After that, Blake Griffin at 8,900 against the Knicks is, interesting, but I'm concerned with the Knicks staying in games, and that could kind of hurt you if he doesn't come out for the last rotation. Lauri Markkanen has just been balling, and his price is just not increasing fast enough. He's 7K against Brooklyn. Like, going to be hard not to go back to that. Marvin Bagley, power forward against Miami. Going to probably draw some Kelly O. Little neck tat, which isn't awesome, but this kid's been playing phenomenal. 6,200 in play. Larry Nance, I like a ton. 5,800. He's played over 25 minutes his last 3 games and gone for 30 or better. And I think there's more usage to go around. Thomas Bryant, depending who's in or out, but he definitely lucked out from Porter being scratched like before that game and played 32 minutes and went nuts against Milwaukee. This is Cleveland. He could do the same. So another guy to keep an eye on. And that is it.
I don't like the pricing at all on these power forwards. Like, I don't like it in a good way. It makes the choices a lot more difficult. So Anthony Davis is 13K. So that's your first decision. What are you going to do with Anthony Davis? After that, you got 9K for Blake. Phenomenal spot, but like you said, there is blowout concern, especially with this game being in Detroit. The Knicks are bad. Julius Randle, who played 31 minutes against Chicago at that matchup, 8,300. So on the one hand, you're like, okay, well, maybe I come down from AD to save money and I go with Randle, hoping he's the one that has a bigger game. But 8,300, it's a lot of money. Lauri Markkanen against Brooklyn, he's been smashing. He is now 8-1, and now he's at a point where 40s may not be cutting it. Now you need to get into the 50s at this point. Tobias Harris only 7K, but you have no idea what his role is going to be, how aggressive he's going to be, how many minutes he's going to play, if he even does that. Josh Jackson, 6'9", Bagley 6'7". Like, Draymond is probably one of the more attractively priced. He's only 6'7", and there's serious blowout concern here, especially if Booker doesn't play. Larry Nance would probably be my favorite option right now. He's 6'5", so it's different than the 5'8" on DraftKings plus the double-double bonuses you're getting over there on FanDuel. It's like, it kind of makes your stomach turn, but it is a really good matchup. So
what's Noah Vonleh?
Vonleh is actually, I think, cheap. He's 4'8".
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, he's come down. DeAndre Jordan is clearly eating into his role. No question. Mm-hmm. No question.
Yep.
Take us down to Value Town.
All right. Right off the bat, we got the 2 dudes from Dallas. We got Dwight Powell at 4.4 and Maxi Kleber at 4.2. I'm pretty much going to play Kleber every time over Powell. But, Powell has shown that he can go for more as well. So they're both in play. Seems like Powell's the more popular one in the industry. I don't understand that, especially with Kleber having been starting. They did release Mejri, so it's one less guy that can kind of take away from these two. and centers is the spot you actually want to attack Milwaukee at. So they're both in play, as is Dario Saric, who um, forget what he played today, but it was on his way to into the 30s, but he did get into foul trouble. Still had a very good game, was aggressive, has a lot of usage on the second unit, and I think his role is going to continue to grow. You know, oh, we already know. Never mind. Kelly Olynyk, 4-2 bigs against Sacramento. He started last game, had a terrible game against Portland, but if he's going to start, I think this is a spot that he could actually go off in. If you like the blowout in Golden State Phoenix, Rayshawn Holmes makes a lot of sense. Neck tat, James Johnson is 4K. He'd be viable. Rondé Hollis Jefferson is 3-7. He's been playing well. Tons of options down here. Tons. So I think the guys from Dallas and Saric are the ones I like the best at this point.
Yeah, that's where you're going to want to get your exposure to these guys. Well, Dwight Powell is 6K, so I think DraftKings is definitely... Yeah, I think if you're playing him, you're looking over at DraftKings where the scoring system favors him anyway. Maxi Pad is 5-3. Don't love that either. I think that... I think he can go 6x. I just think there's probably other guys who can go better, whether raw points, point per dollar. There's just guys that can do better. Noah Vonleh at 4.8 is worth a look. If DeAndre Jordan were to get into foul trouble or whatever it was, Vonleh would have to play at that point. And this is a situation where they're going to need the biggest of the bigs out there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vonleh and DeAndre Jordan out there together. If you know, at least in the beginning when the Knicks are pretending they want to win, to match up with Blake and foul trouble is a problem, but 4.8, worth the risk. Kelly Olynyk, like you said. Yeah, I think RHJ's 4-3, but still in punt territory. Taj Gibson, kind of an interesting spot for him, although I will agree that it does seem like Dario Saric is strongly outplaying him, and he may be with the better option to roll with, especially as your punt. You might as well go with him. I think at this point he's shown a lot of upside recently. So I agree. There's some options. Power forward, I just don't love the pricing up top on FanDuel. I think the pricing up top, they made it tough, and so it's cool, but that's going to be everybody's reaction. It's like nobody's going to feel comfortable paying up for one of these guys. Centers. What you got?
Centers. Centers have been doing well against Jokic. Definitely have interest in Embiid. He's 10-6 on DK. I think Tobias not being there and then being shorthanded would be a plus. And then you got to think about Jokic coming back the other way. It is a road game for Jokic. Didn't seem to matter last game, but that is in the back of my mind. About 8 DK points per game less on the road. Cat against the Pelicans is fine as well. So you got a handful of pay-up options that are fine. Same story for Blake Griffin. Same thing for Andre Drummond. If you think that the Knicks can stay in this, it's a phenomenal spot for Drummond. Hassan Whiteside, I do have interest in. He closed last game. He played really well. Their beat writer says he might be back in the good graces with the coach. 6-8 against Sacramento, that is very, very interesting and attractive. Willie Cauley-Stein is dead to me. Jared Allen is 5K against the Bulls. Centers against the Bulls have just been phenomenal. He played 24 minutes last game. It's, consistent with his 24 to 30 minutes a game. If he can get kind of hot early, double-double bonus, I think he makes for an interesting low-owned kind of play. Going deeper into Value Town, Mitchell Robinson is definitely a FanDuel play for me more than DraftKings, but he's probably too expensive there. He's 4-3 on DraftKings. I think he's going to have the most secure minutes of the centers for the Knicks kind of going forward. Although DeAndre Jordan being Kevin Durant's buddy, they may want to keep him happy, so maybe not. don't really see a ton else down here in Value Town.
Man, it's tough to get off these top dudes, man. And Embiid,
Yeah.
Towns, and Jokic, just right out the gate, all those guys. And then on DraftKings, like on FanDuel, 8K for White. I love this matchup for Whiteside, but 8K for him, like, I just don't see how I don't find the money to go up to one of these other dudes, or settle for like a Boogie Cousins against Phoenix at 7.5 or something like that. But I don't see how I'm gonna have a hard time not getting on these three dudes. I'm gonna need some value because so far I love Giannis, I love Doncic, and now I'm looking at center, and lo and behold, more double-digit guys that I just really, really like. I think right now Embiid would still be my favorite. I just feel like he's just been so reliable, and we've seen bigs just destroy Denver, especially when Millsap's out. So, Karl Anthony Towns, the last time he played Anthony Davis, he smashed him. I think he went out there and had a huge game. Different circumstance. We got to see who's back. And it is a back-to-back for him. And then, like you said, Jokic, who did well against Brooklyn, a little bit of a tougher spot. But all three of these guys look great. I do favor Embiid. I like Whiteside a lot on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I am a little worried at 8K. I'm just a little scared. I think DeAndre Jordan is okay. I agree with you. After that, I'm looking at all these guys. Willie Cauley-Stein, I agree. He's dead to me as well. I just look down this list and I see nobody. I see nobody worthy. Like maybe if you want to somewhat punt the position, but I don't even see, like, I would say Mitchell Robinson, but I really don't see how Mitchell Robinson doesn't draw like 6 fouls in 10 minutes in this matchup between Blake or, so yeah, I mean, guys at the top.
How about what's Robin Lopez's price? Like, there's no more
Bobby Portis.
Assuming Otto's not there, no more Jabari against Brooklyn. Is he like?
Well, get this. Lopez is expected to be bought out by the Bulls. That is a note from February 7th, which is today. Today, for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lopez apparently expected to be bought out. So that means they don't have. So it's Feliciano. Are we looking at Feliciano? Oh my God! We just discovered something. Who's playing? Jared Allen is going to feast. One of those guys is going to feast.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's true and they really do that, and we're looking at Feliciano, number one, Feliciano is your punt. And that's the guy that's going to help you fit in the Giannis and Doncic and like one other good player. And number two, like this dude is like 6'8", something like that, like 6'9", something like that. You know what I mean? And yeah.
What are the prices on the big three up top? Embiid, Jokic, and Cat.
So Embiid is 11.9. Towns is 11.2, and Jokic is also 11.2. They're expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in the conversation to punt center. Those guys like all could do well, but if they don't get over 60, you're probably happy that you punted.
Yeah, I don't mind the Felicio call, man. I really don't. Like, it's Brooklyn, so he is just as good of a chance to put some up. Like, who else do you think they play there? Like maybe Markkanen gets to play a little bit down there. But no Rolo, no
Parker, no Portis. No, yeah.
Wendell Carter's still hurt, I believe, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
He's out for a while.
Wow. All right. Yeah, there you go. So there's your punt. Felicio, Cristiano Felicio, that's his name. Anyway.
Felicio, yeah.
That is going to do it for the position-by-position breakdown. At this point, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already, check us out at wisetape.com. Make sure you get over there. See what it is we do. Come join the Wise Take Nation. We are not just a DFS content provider. We are a DFS community. Get yourself a day pass if you want to try out just the content first. You'll get access to all the actual content, the live stream, which is a show we do 2 hours before lock. You'll get access to all of these cheat sheets, my core article, a cash article, a cash game article, a GPP approach article. So come check it out. I think CashinDFS and Stevie Brown are writing those tomorrow. You get the expert poll. We take a couple of our guys and answer some key questions on the slate. All that for $2.50 for one full day. After you get a little taste, you're going to want to get a piece of our Slack chat. The Slack chat's only available for monthly memberships or higher. Those are the true members, the true core of the Wise Take Nation. I shouldn't say true members, because those guys that go out there and they buy day passes whenever they can, we do consider you members. And to be honest, even the people listening to the show every single day, we consider you part of the Wise Take Nation for show. But the VIP members, if you will, are the ones who have the monthly memberships or higher, and they get access to the Slack chat. We get injury feeds, all kinds of stuff. We're always up to date on the latest injury news as best as you could be. And those guys, man, what they do, they chop down slates together, interpret the content, and use other things to just help each other out and give each other advice. And we got Thunder Dan and Stevie Brennan there all the time. Cash pops in there a lot of the time. It's really a great thing. But that's only for monthly members or higher. Anyway, check us out. Paulie D, top threes. Let's go. You're on DraftKings. I'm on FanDuel. What you got?
Yeah, give me Bledsoe, give me TJ McConnell, and give me Colin Sexton.
Colin Sexton. I'm going to go with Eric Bledsoe, Chris Dunn, and I'll go with Tyler Johnson. Roll the dice.
Nice.
Shooting guards.
Give me Dwayne Wade, give me Jordan Clarkson, and give me Jamal Murray.
I'm with it. I'm going to roll with Luka Doncic. Let's roll with D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Clarkson. Small forwards.
Gonna have to say like Giannis up top, especially with Middleton out. I will roll with Josh Jackson and David Nwaba.
I'm going to go with Big D, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's go with Trevor Ariza, and let's go with Kevin Knox. Power forwards.
Larry Nance. Marvin Bagley. And Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, boy. This position I do not like to make decisions on right now. I'm going to go with Lauri Markkanen at 8-1. I really don't love that, but I'm going to roll with it. Larry Nance, I actually feel a little more comfortable with him. And do it.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with Noah Vonleh, but I am very concerned about the role. Sarge would be the punt, I think. If you just want to punt the position, I think Sarge should be the way to go.
What's his price? Sarge?
3 CL.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice.
3 CL.
Yep.
Centers, Paulie.
Yeah, so Hassan Whiteside, I do like a bunch over here. And Joel Embiid. Oh, man. Min Price Boban debut against Philly. If there's any word that he's going to get minutes, which I expect him to, I could try that.
Bobanovich. I'm going to go with Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, and as the punt, Mr. Cristiano Felicio as your Min Price center punt. Expect it to be a drop score, and if it's not, a little pleasant surprise action. And that is going to do it. Let's Take DFS Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and a share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching us on Twitch or Twitter, give us a follow, give us a retweet. And if you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. That'll pump us up those charts. Paulie, anything in closing before we get out of here?
No, man. Tomorrow's slate's gonna be a doozy with all the fallout from the trades, who's available, who's not, plus just the usual NBA late scratch, whatnot. So, you are going to want some in-depth content on, I would assume.
Yes. It's gonna be a fun one. Faux show. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.